Mr. President, I call up my amendment number 3099 and ask that it be reported by number.
The clerk will report the amendment by number.
The senator from Idaho, Mr. Crapo, proposes an amendment number 3099.
Senator's recognized.
Mr. President, the IRS financial instituting reporting requirement forces financial institutions to turn over detailed bank account information to the IRS based on vague and flexible criteria, such as a $600 threshold, and account inflows and outflows would be covered. This all to be determined by the IRS. Think about that. It subjects every law-abiding American who has a bank account or a credit union account in which they transact more than $600 worth of transactions to have that information monitored and reported to the IRS. This is an outrageous violation of the privacy of American citizens, and we should reject it. The community banks and credit unions support this amendment, and I thank the ICBA, CUNA, the ABA, and the NAFCU for their support, as well as the Americans for Tax Reform and the Center for a Free Economy. My amendment prevents the undue monitoring and reporting of sensitive financial information on law-abiding Americans.
Who yields time in opposition?
Mr. President,
Senator from Oregon.
colleagues, a decade of Republican budget cuts to the IRS has resulted in rampant tax cheating at the top. Tax enforcement is going to require new resources and new tools to crack down on the high-flying tax cheats. The Crapo amendment would, for all practical purposes, preserve the status quo that has contributed to the trillion-dollar tax gap, mushrooming and growing bigger. This amendment would make it harder to root out tax cheating, and it's unfair to working Americans who pay their taxes automatically out of each paycheck. Shortly, and we are going to reject the Crapo amendment, I'll offer an alternative that will protect the little guy without forfeiting the chance to go after the big tax cheats, the wealthiest. I urge the vote.
The question is on the amendment. On this vote, the yeas are 49, the nays are 50. The amendment is not agreed to.
Mr. President,
Senator from Oregon.
I call up my amendment 3365 and ask that it be reported by number.
The clerk will report the amendment by number.
The senator from Oregon, Mr. Wyden, proposes an amendment number 3365.
Mr. President,
Senator from Oregon.
the IRS commissioner told the Senate Finance Committee that in his judgment, the tax gap, the difference between taxes paid and taxes owed, is as much as $1 trillion a year. Current tax gap estimates likely miss a large number of the high flyers who clearly are driving this tax gap up and up. Taxpayers acting to conceal this income from tax authorities are going to have a much tougher time if the Congress requires that financial institutions take practical and reasonable steps to require that financial institutions report on financial accounts. Our interest on our side is to go after the big guys who generate significant inflows and outflows of cash and other assets. And we do it in a way that protects privacy and sensitive taxpayer and small business tax information. And this privacy issue has been one of the most important issues in my time in public service. And we're going to make sure that you can get the high flyers, the wealthy tax cheats, without forfeiting the rights of the little guy.
Senator will come to order. Senator from Idaho.
Mr. President, this is one of the biggest violations of privacy of Americans to come to the Senate. Excuse me. Mr. President, this is one of the biggest violations of the privacy of American citizens to come to the floor of the Senate in a long time. This amendment would require reporting of, and I quote, large, end quote, financial account balances to the IRS. So now instead of $600, they're going to say that whatever the IRS says is large, is what they will require every single American, whether they are an individual, a small business, or a corporation owner. Everyone is going to be subject to reporting on whatever the IRS says is large. And this comes after another proposal that's coming down the pike to double or triple the funding to the IRS so they can monitor the financial transactions of American citizens. This amendment should be rejected.
Question is on the amendment. Is there sufficient second? There is. The clerk will call the roll.